Let's talk about joint pain. If you've ever dealt with aching joints, you've probably been told it's just wear and tear, right? But what if that's not the whole story? What if that pain is actually a message, a signal from your body trying to tell you something much, much deeper is going on? We're going to dive into this today and totally reframe how you think about joint pain.
This quote right here. This is the key to everything we're talking about. It basically tells us to stop staring at the joint, the knee, the shoulder, the wrist, and start looking at the reason for the pain. Your body is trying to communicate, and our job is to figure out what it's saying.
So, let's treat this seriously. Your body is sending out an SOS signal. It's not just random noise, it's a very specific communication. And it's telling us that the whole system, the body's entire internal environment, is under some kind of major stress. So let's get a more clinical look at what's really happening on a cellular level. Now check out this definition. This is a game changer. We're not talking about cartilage wearing down. The words here are cellular distress and defensive overdrive. That means the cells in your joints are literally struggling to survive, and your body's defense systems are just stuck in the on position. And look where it says the problems often start: the gut, the immune system, and even your nervous system. The joint is just where the alarm is going off. This leads us right to the main character in this whole story: inflammation. Now, we usually think of inflammation as a good thing, right? It's part of healing. But what happens when that healing process gets stuck on a loop and just never, ever shuts off?
Yeah, this slide shows it perfectly. Inflammation has two totally different personalities. On one side, you've got acute healing. That's the hero. It swoops in after an injury, calls in the repair crews, fixes the problem, and then it leaves. It's a fantastic, beneficial process. But on the other side, you've got chronic degradation. This is when the inflammation alarm gets stuck. It just keeps ringing, and instead of healing, it starts to cause damage. It literally eats away at cartilage and makes your nerves super sensitive to pain. And a fallout from this is huge. It's so much more than just pain. You're looking at actual erosion of the cartilage in your joints. You get this thing called oxidative stress. Think of it like rust building up inside your cells. Your nerves get so sensitive that even a light touch can feel painful. And notice those last 2 points: systemic fatigue and mitochondrial dysfunction. The problem has gone body-wide. It's attacking your energy production at the source. Okay, so we've seen the damage this chronic inflammation can do. But that begs the biggest question of all. Why? Why is it happening in the first place? To get to the bottom of this, we have to play detective and trace this pain all the way back to its real source. This is it, the million-dollar question, right? If we can figure out what's feeding the fire, we can figure out how to put it out for good. And here's a hint: it's almost never just one single thing. It's usually a whole combination of factors. Now, this table is really cool because it shows that joint pain isn't a one-size-fits-all problem. It has different patterns, almost like different personalities. As I go through these, see if any of them sound familiar to you. Is your pain in just one spot after you overdo it? That sounds mechanical. Or is it in multiple joints, with swelling and crushing fatigue? That points more toward an inflammatory issue. Did it pop up right after you got sick? Could be post-infectious. Figuring out your pattern is a huge step toward finding the root cause. All right, let's talk about our number one culprit, the gut. Picture your gut lining as a really tight security fence. When that fence gets damaged, what people call leaky gut, stuff that's supposed to stay inside can escape into your bloodstream. Your immune system sees these intruders and naturally freaks out, launching a full-scale attack. The problem is, after a while, your immune system gets confused. It's on such high alert that it starts attacking things that just look like the enemy. And sometimes, that's your own joint tissue. Next up, an energy crisis. And I mean that literally. Inside your cells, you have these tiny power plants called mitochondria. They produce the energy for, well, everything, including repairing your cartilage. But when they get damaged, your energy production just tanks. Without enough power, the repair crews can't do their jobs, and the joint tissue starts to break down. This is exactly why that deep, bone-crushing fatigue and chronic joint pain so often show up together. And then you have this crew of hidden stressors. Chronic stress messes with your immune system. Unstable blood sugar leads to something called glycation. The easiest way to think about this is like caramelization happening inside your body. Sugar molecules literally stick to proteins, like the collagen in your joints, making them stiff, brittle, and inflamed. Not having enough of key nutrients is another big one. And then there's what's called echo-inflammation. It's like your immune system's alarm bell keeps ringing long after an infection is actually gone. Okay, get ready for a major plot twist. We've talked about the gut, the cells, the inflammation. But what if the problem isn't just in the tissue anymore? What happens when the pain signal itself gets stuck? This is probably one of the most frustrating, maddening things for anyone with chronic pain. Your doctor looks at the scan and says, well, everything looks fine. The original injury should be healed. But you're still in pain, a lot of pain. So what is going on?
And there it is. This is the answer. Your brain is the ultimate decider of whether or not you feel pain. It gets signals from your tissues, sure, but it filters those signals through everything else. Your stress levels, your past experiences, your emotions, before it makes a decision to create the sensation of pain. So pain isn't just a simple signal coming from the joint, it's an output created by the brain.
This whole phenomenon has a name. It's called central sensitization. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a smoke alarm that has gone haywire. The original fire, the injury, is completely out, but the alarm is still screaming its head off. Your nervous system is stuck in this overprotective, high alert mode, and the brain just keeps running the pain program on a loop, even when there's no new danger signal coming from the joint.
Okay, I know that sounds like a lot to deal with. The gut, the cells, even the brain. But here is the really good news. A systemic problem demands a systemic solution, and there's a really clear, logical roadmap to help the entire body recalibrate and find its way back to balance. The whole journey breaks down into 3 clear phases. First, we have to calm everything down and create a sense of safety in the body. Then, and only then, can we start to repair and rebuild what's been damaged. And finally, the goal is to build long-term resilience so the body is strong enough to handle whatever life throws at it.
So phase 1 is all about slamming on the brakes. The goal here is simple: stop sending threatening signals to the brain. We do that by removing inflammatory foods, actively helping the gut lining to heal, and this is huge, using tools like mindfulness and specific breath work. This is called limbic system retraining. It's basically how you talk directly to the brain's alarm center and tell it, hey, the threat is over, it's safe to stand down now.
Once the system is calm, we can start phase 2, repair and rebuild. Now we focus on giving the body the actual raw materials it needs to fix itself. This means firing up those mitochondria, your cellular power plants, with key nutrients. This is where things like thiamine and magnesium become so critical. We pair that with gentle movement to bring nourishment to the joints. The whole goal is to get the nervous system into its rest and digest mode, which is also its rest and repair mode. And finally, we get to phase 3. This is all about building a body that's not just not in pain, but is genuinely strong and resilient. We do that by carefully reintroducing more foods to build metabolic flexibility, using structured strength training to make our joints and bones stronger, and never forgetting that our emotional and spiritual health is the foundation for all of it.
So if there's just one thing you take away from all of this, let it be this thought right here. Real, lasting healing isn't about finding some magic pill to silence your symptoms. It's about listening to the message your pain is sending. It's a call to look deeper, to fix the root problems, and maybe most importantly, to create an environment where your body can finally stop screaming because it truly knows that it's safe again.